thing. I mean, I didn't, when they were talking about the show and they were like, and it shoots in LA. And I was like, oh, that's even better. It's fantastic.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, I spent a lot of time in Vancouver, obviously, 10 years up there. And, I had some family and maybe a few friends visit. But here, my friends can actually just come visit. And I've never really experienced that before. So I'm like, hey, come visit me in set. And they're like, dude, what are you, you're 40 years old. What do you, grow up? And I'm like, no, I haven't had visitors before. So this is a lot of fun.
So how many of the cast are going to come onto your podcast?
My podcast?
Yeah, because I've watched it. It's a great.
Oh, that's
great
Michael's show.
Yeah, and I saw that. I'm just wondering, how many people are you going to just like, hey, me?
Well, what I've done is there's a few people who have seen it, and Michael's a dear friend of mine. And he was like, hey, man, if anybody on Lucifer wants to come in, check with me first. And I was like, okay, Michael, because you're really busy. But I think, I know Michael has worked with Amy Garcia before, so I could maybe see that happening. And aside from that, Michael likes to, in a good way, he likes to sort of bring people in who he knows, because he adds that sort of, that comfortable sort of like, let's just talk as friends, and it's a safe environment. He'll send you the tape before and be like, if you don't want anything in there, that's cool. So, I mean, I would help anybody who wants to be on it and let Michael know. But I don't know of any plan yet.
Yeah, because you and Michael were just like, it was just great.
That was funny. I had a good time.
After so many years, how many fellow cast members and people you've met in the industry have stayed your friends?
It's a funny thing about this business because you're sort of, in the trenches with someone, and then you kind of just, you kind of go different ways. What I find a lot of times with relationships is you build these relationships that you may not talk to people often, but when you do, it's like you just saw them. So a lot of it's like that. Yeah.
So you were saying that you were a fan of Lucifer previously. What else are you watching?
What else am I watching? I always blank on this question. I watch a lot of Anthony Bourdain, believe it or not.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? I just, it was funny. I was watching the other day, and he has this promo where he's like, we're in our 10th season? Oh my God. And I'm like, thank God, because I've watched every other one. I want to see, the new stuff.
It's like a great promo.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, it's really fun.
And he looks good. He looks better than he has before. Don't tell anybody that. No, but that's, I want to go, travel on that show with him. But I watched... something I binge watched, I watched all in one weekend, was Ozark, once I came across that. And then, of course, House of Cards. Game of Thrones. I do watch that. I'm trying to think of anything new. Nothing comes to mind at the second. I might in a second, though.
What other actor would you love to work with on the show? If you could bring anyone on this show.
Anthony Bourdain. I don't know. It's a good question. I hadn't thought about that. Christopher Walken.
Oh.
And also, who's actually, I don't know if you know Vinnie Jones, the Hall of Fame soccer player? He's a good friend of mine. He's on a show shooting in New York. But I think that, having met Tom now and worked with Tom and knowing Vinnie, I think Vinnie being on the show, like a Vinnie Tom Ellis scene, I think would be really cool with the accents and the whole thing, and the menacing. I think that'd be great. So,
Would you direct an episode here?
I would love to. I'd.
All right, so who's been the cleverest so far?
Yeah.
Who do we have to be?
What's the bar?
Yeah,
I'm gonna miss Mother.
man. Got a whole new. Oh, thanks.
Wow, it's like a Swiss
Got a
Army
whole
knife
new
happening
character.
there.
I know, that's what she's
She's so good. That mom was one.
So was the plan always to kill Charlotte, have Mom there, get rid of Mom, and bring Charlotte back?
No.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
No, we just fell in love with Trisha Helfer, and which is not hard to do. And she's just so good on the show, but we told her and ourselves, if we can't think of something as awesome as Mom for you to play, then none of us wanted to do it. So we sort of developed it for a while and then decided, okay, I think we've got something pretty darn good. And we talked to her about it, and she was like, I'm in. And
Yeah, it was really it was fun because like season 2 we were like, all right, we know exactly who this character is, what the fun of it is going to be. Once we had Trisha Helfer, you're like, how do we hold on to her? What can we do? And so yeah, it was. But like Gildy said, it really was like you don't want to waste that talent. Like you really need to find a role that is equally juicy for her. I think we got a really fun one.
And
Great.
the bar was somewhat high. I mean, she played the goddess of all creation. Like, how do you get, everything else pales. But we found the character of Charlotte is even more complex in a way.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, in this business, it's very important to have the right people around you, the right team. How did you guys find your dream team, and how did you keep the relationships with everybody so strong?
Oh my gosh.
Casting, writing, both.
Casting,
Or-
writing, all?
Everything, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, casting, we both sort of came into it at a point when most were cast already.
We bring in Kevin.
And I was there with when Rachel joined the cast, and then of course Trisha and Amy.
Yeah, Trisha and Amy are two big swings because we had a show that was working, and we had a cast that really gelled. So the question was, you bring in these two new energies, and is it additive or is it disruptive? And we just got really lucky for one. And for another, we asked around and just found out that we had hired not only two wonderful actresses, but two great people.
And Tom Welling fits right in there too.
Yeah.
He's we lucked out with another. I mean, not only is he awesome and somewhat attractive, but he's such a great guy. He came by already, didn't he? He's such a lovely, lovely human, and he fits right in too. I mean, there's kind of a seamless way he came in onto the cast. And then writing, we actually are very sort of proud to say we have the same writing staff since episode 1. Well, episode 2.
Yeah, plus or minus one or two people.
One went on to bigger, not better things, and then
Just bigger.
just bigger, and then we promoted a staff writer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we also have a 50% male to female ratio in our room, which should not be as weird as it is,
Yeah.
but is pretty awesome and was very important to us. And in the case of writers, we hired people who could do everything, write humor, write drama, write horror, because that's what our show is, which is a harder thing to find than you might think. But that was a huge part of it, was finding the people that could blend, and also finding good people. Like, honestly, when we met with Tom Welling, to sort of circle back a little bit, one of the things he had mentioned that people recommended coming on our show. Like, actors liked visiting our show. And that's both our writer's room and our set is hire people you have fun working with. Hire people who will bring something, both when it comes to on the screen, but also after you yell cut, they're the nice people that you actually want to spend time with. And we're very fortunate to say that's our cast.
Yeah, we do a lot of cocktail hours in the writers' room.
Yes,
for
we do.
one thing.
Yes, we do.
It's a
Oh, yeah.
bonding. It's
all
purely
about
just to bond us. Yeah, it's
Bonding.
Yeah.
And idea generation.
That's right. We get stuck. Just lube it up.
And now you have your headline.
So how nice is it to have your writing staff from episode 1 and to still be together to create a great show like this?
It's awesome because, for one, you have such a continuity. Like, everyone knows the show, everyone knows each other's strengths and weaknesses, and one of the things that's been fun is getting the quieter writers to step up a little bit, them coming to us and saying, like, hey, I want to do this a little bit more, I want to do that a little bit more, and just that shorthand where, like, everyone knows how to write the show, and so now it becomes that fun game of how do you push each other's boundaries, how do you sort of challenge each other.
And you also have ownership over the show. Like, since everybody has been here since the beginning, they all feel, I think, we all feel like creators. We all feel like we made these characters. I mean, and with the cast, too, I think it feels like a joint effort because we talk to them a lot. And they add things, and we discuss, and we go, okay, yeah, and we all feel a part of it. It's our show,
Yep.
and then you get patriots out of your staff. You don't get just people like, you know, clocking in, and we all really care a lot. It's and we're all fans of the show too. Like
We annoy people sometimes because we are genuinely fans of our show, which can sound a little like back patty, but it's more like it's fun. We make a fun show, and we really love doing it, and hopefully we'll just keep driving people crazy about it for years.
So it's a roller coaster. I mean, your cast doesn't even know what's going to go on or what revelations are coming. Some of them do know more than others. Could you describe a little bit about how is the process of writing that, and how far advanced are you? Like, so you don't stumble on continuity problems or anything?
Well, we do change things as we go, which is why we don't like to commit to telling things to the cast until we know for sure it's going to happen, because we don't want them to go, oh, but you said I was going to have, you know, have a relationship with a dragon or whatever.
I still think that'll work.
But yeah, we try to sort of do it in stages. Like at the beginning of the year, we talk about, like this season, we talked about it like a 3-act play, like a, you know, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. We kind of break it really loosely and very generally, and then we get one honed in, and then 2 changes. So now we're going to change 2 a little bit because 1 changed a little bit as we go. So, but we do try to map it generally out for the season before we even start writing.
Like right now we have an end of Act 3 that we love. It's awesome. Will it still be the end of Act 3? We don't know. And what I personally believe in is having goalposts, like our act breaks of like, here's where we could go. And we know this could be awesome. But allowing yourself the flexibility to just discover things. Like season 2, the Linda Mays relationship was something that we didn't quite realize was going to be as amazing as it was until we just kept adding scenes of them together and kept discovering it. And you got to leave yourself the room for discovery. Otherwise, you just end up breaking a story so regimented that you lose opportunities.
Yeah, we didn't know Charlotte and Dan were going to be a thing. Season 2, we sort of
we were gonna have them hook up,
we were gonna have
and
them,
that was it, and that was gonna be fun,
and purely to get, you know, as a means to an end, because Mom was being manipulative. But then we're like, what if she really likes him? What if she starts really liking him? And they're so cute together that you just they start telling you what to do.
The first scene where Charlotte literally devours Dan in that kiss, we watched it and we were like, oh, we need to see more of this. This is fun.
Yeah, and you know, it's a gift to Dan as well. Gift to Kevin.
Yeah.
He's like, thank you.
He looked really disappointed.
Yeah.
Really disappointed.
Can you guys share a memorable moment that you've had while working on this show? Like, what stands out to you?
Something just happened, I think, that we could talk about that was pretty darn funny.
Oh, that's cool.
We just got pranked in a very long con prank with half our writing staff and 2 cast members, Trisha and Amy, were in on it. So we have this staff writer. He's not a staff writer now. He's a story editor now. Story editor, Mike Costa. Great guy, very funny, very unassuming guy.
Yeah. He's a comic book nerd.
He's a comic book nerd. He a member of the Magic Castle.
Yeah.
You know, he's that guy. He's awesome. He's awesome. But he says one night, Trisha called and said, hey, can you get me into the Magic Castle? And he said, sure. And she arrived that night solo, not with friends. He thought she was going to come with some friends. And so he texted one of our upper-level writers, Sherry Elwood, and said, this is a little strange, but I just spent the evening with Trisha Helfer at the Magic Castle, and it was really fun, but it was like, it almost felt like a date, and it's very strange, but it's Trisha, and that's crazy, and you know, and so basically he was a little confused about it. Yeah. Do you like to continue?
You're doing a pretty good job. And then so cut forward like a couple days later, Amy Garcia comes into the writer's room and she's like, hey, I've got this comic book for Mike. I love comics. He's a comic book writer. Don't tell him. Don't make a big deal out of it though. Don't make it. We're like, what's going on?
She leaves him a note, and she like, you know, we sort of prod her and like
she like leaves a kiss on it, and we're all
she's like all embarrassed and blushing. We're like,
most of us are like married with kids, so we don't get much of any excitement in our lives in a relationship way. So we're all like, wait, is the nerd getting like
Winning.
a bunch
It's
of
like Rudy. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
and we're all like, but this can't be happening. There's no way this is happening. No insult to Mike, but
No
we're just
insult.
writers, and we're just like, there's no way that no one crosses these paths, and we're freaking out, and it's like the greatest thing that's ever happened to us because it's something for us to talk about and
So
get excited
3
about.
weeks go kind of on, and different
This is a long
things
con.
happen. It's a long thing. And then, Mike left a little bit early to go to set, to go have drinks with Trisha after.
One of our writers comes, that Mike left set to go be with Trisha, and we're
like,
just freaking
"What?"
out.
Our minds are exploding. And then Trisha tweets something like, "Oh, it's fun to have a secret,
Isn't it, at
Isn't
Mike
it
Costa?"
At Mike Costa.
Wink.
What is happening? And so we're all discussing it one day at lunch, and Mike's going, "I'm not sure," and then I went out with her, and I sort of kissed her goodbye, and we're like, "What's happening? What?" And then suddenly, in the doorway, Trisha's standing there, and she's very upset. She goes, "Can I talk to you, please, Mike?" And we went,
Oh God! Oh God! Oh God!
Mike left, and they start yelling. Not yelling, but first it starts,
Well,
slowly.
she's like, I hear that you're seeing Amy. I thought we had something. I don't understand. I kissed you, and you're
Does that
telling.
mean nothing?
Does that-
You're laughing at me in the writer's room? Is this a joke to you? And we hear Mike sort of like defending himself. And we're going, shut the door. What should we do? HR, like, should we?
Yeah, are we? Oh God, what have we done? What have we done? We've been like living vicariously through this amazing story, but now, oh God, what have we?
We're
what
doing damage control in our heads, like, oh no, this was sort of funny, but now it's a disaster, and then all of a sudden, and Mike comes back into the room, and he goes, "I need to apologize to you guys." And he's very serious, and we have it all on tape, actually, by the way. I need to apologize to you guys because you've all just been completely pranked. and then Trisha comes in.
Trisha runs out. Amy runs in.
They made up the whole thing. None of
Yeah.
it happened. Magic Castle, none of it.
Yeah, they literally were just like, wouldn't it be fun to make them think that Mike is dating Trisha and Amy at the same time?
And then there was this.
That's what our room does.
So it was a whole thing that they really worked on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was kind of impressive.
I have no idea what question that came from, but
So that was
That's the
an
most memorable thing
anecdote. Well,
that's a good anecdote.
Yeah.
recently.
Memorable things. I was at a fundraiser for Cory Booker, and I found out that he's a fan of the show, and that blew my mind and made me so happy because it's a reminder of the reach that we have on our show and the kinds of people who watch it. And I love the fact that people watch our show. But by the way, like I talk to people of religious faith who watch our show. I talk to a whole bunch of people who like the morality tales that we end up telling. And I actually didn't get to talk to Senator Booker, but apparently it's one of the things he brought up is that we deal with questions of morality and we sort of challenge those. And to me, that's what's exciting about our show. And every time I talk to someone who is an unexpected viewer, that makes me really happy because I grew up Catholic and I like people of faith watching our show. I like people not of faith watching our show. I like everyone finding that thing of our show that speaks to them, be it morality, be it sexuality, be it fart jokes. Because we have all three.
We have time for one more question.
Sorry, we blathered.
So from the initial kind of start of the show, the log line of the devil retires to solve crimes in LA is it's kind of a weird log line, and I don't think anybody expected it to be this like a character study essentially, like and have to enjoy everybody. So was the goal always to kind of expand the character to really get into them, or what was kind of the game plan?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think it's the ultimate anti-hero and a character who's deeply flawed, and so because we knew we were taking this ultimate villain and making him our hero, you have to get into the gray area. You have to constantly explore the gray area in that character. And so if you're going to do that with him, you really got to do that with everybody else too. And so, yeah, I mean, we knew that we wanted to explore an angel with flaws as well. So Amenadiel is this pious guy, but he's got an ego. He's got an ego on him, and so everybody has human. Our celestials are human, and our humans have sort of some superpowers as well, like Rachel. Not Rachel. Chloe.
Chloe Decker?
Chloe Decker.
I know her.
Our detective.
She's good.
Chloe Decker. But so yeah, I mean, I think just having that one character, Lucifer, be so complex, we knew everybody had to step up too and match that. So yeah, we knew we were going to dig as deep as we could.
The show has quite possibly one of the most absurd premises you've ever heard of, and which I love about it. And I think the only way you can earn something like that is character, is grounding it. I love it when shows, comics, movies take an insane idea and humanize it. Like, to me, that's the fun of what we do. It's like, what greater challenge than making us care about the devil? I love that challenge. That's fun. And then around him, how do you care about an angel? How do you care about the detective who works with the devil? Like, the fun of it is, this is absurd. Make me care about it. And if you make someone care about something like that, you're along for the ride. And that's the TV I like watching.
Yeah, I think the moment at the end of the pilot where he goes he starts therapy. I think that's also sort of indicative of where the series was kind of going. It's like he's going to try to understand himself, so we knew we were going to have to dig deep. I don't know if we knew that there was going to be as much humor or sort of silliness but everyone is so funny on the cast, and you just start writing, they make you laugh, and so...
You're right, because it's funny, because Tom was funny in the pilot, and Rachel was funny in the pilot, but one of the things that we've done as the show's evolved is everyone else has become funny too, because our cast is very funny, and also because humor is what humanizes, right? And so the fun of it is figuring out what everyone's different sense of humor is.
What shows are you fans of? Like, just come up.
I'm digging into Ozark right now.
Ozark's
Really
awesome.
enjoying that. Rick and Morty is amazing.
Game of Thrones, I love Walking Dead. I do. Narcos I watch.
Gotta watch that.
Love it.
What else?
Outlander's back, and I'm very excited about that. Love that show.
Outlander. I love that show.
There's a few.
Those are. Otherwise, how much? I don't have much more time. Oh, Peppa Pig. My 2-year-old loves Peppa Pig, so I love Peppa Pig.
Bob's Burgers. I like that too.
That's great.
No. Thank you guys. Really appreciate it.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. It's a tribble. It's a random tribble.
Exactly.
So the show's a major roller coaster. How with twists and turns and stuff like that. How's that feel? You came in last season, correct?
Yes.
And now, what do we have in store for the next season?
Well, in season 3, I'm playing an all-new character. So, yes, at the end of season 2, Lucifer sent Mom through a portal to a new realm to start creating anew, where she could rule and not have to, fight with her ex-husband, God, But Charlotte Richards, the human that she had kind of taken over for that time period, was given a second chance. So I am, look the same as Mom looked, but have been demoted to a human.
Are you gonna miss your powers?
I think I am. Yes, certainly I'm gonna miss my powers, but they were becoming too strong for the human body anyway, so I would have blown up. It's been a challenge playing this new character and somebody that doesn't know what happened for the last say the time period was 4 months. Mom got up to a lot of antics in Charlotte's life, and so she is. I come into it a few episodes into the season, and so Charlotte's had a little bit of time, a few weeks to kind of digest and get bearings. Realize that her husband has left her. She, custody of her children has been taken away. People have been telling her that she's, all the things that Mom kind of got up to, and that she'd been acting strange and doing this and doing that, and falling off a pier and that type of thing. So she's had a little bit of time to try and get her bearings see some doctors, do all that kind of stuff. So that's all kind of off camera, right? But when we pick up with her, she's now trying to get back to work, trying to get her life back on track, but struggling with it. Struggling with, she was a very strong personality, very smart, focused defense attorney that would kind of flirt with the dark side, not the dark side, but maybe judgment, as I think some defense attorneys do when they're defending criminals, right? And so she may have made some questionable choices that, even though she doesn't think she's a bad person, and she's ultimately not a bad person, she may have ended up somewhere. And because she was killed, if we remember from the first, second season, but my first season.
Yeah.
And so she's struggling. She doesn't really know what it is. She's struggling, but she's trying to keep a straight face. She's trying to, not put that out to the world, because to somebody like Charlotte, she thinks she's probably having a nervous breakdown or something like that. But that is a sign of weakness, right, in her business. So she's trying to keep it all under wraps and just get on with her life. But that's hard to do.
Can you describe the season in 3 words?
Struggling with identity,
Uh-huh.
Nice.
I think, for a lot of the characters in many ways.
And how did you prepare, because you were transitioning into a new character? So what was that preparation process like?
It was really waiting to find out what I'd sat down with the writer's room, as we all did, I think, in between the season, and really just waiting to see what, I obviously talked to them about it, but waiting to see what their stab at the script was. And the first script that I'm in was written by Chris Rafferty, great writer, and somebody that I have a really good, relationship with, that we could just kind of brainstorm and try and figure it out. And we have a really good scene with Tom in that episode of kind of her trying to reach out. There's a familiarity, but she doesn't know why, and people are telling her that she was close with him. So she kind of reaches out to him in a way that she thinks, and she knows how, and is very quickly told by him that that's not the case. And then follows just a really, I think, not heavy scene, but in terms of him kind of giving her the idea that she has to make some changes in her life. So she tries to do better afterwards. She realizes she needs to make some changes. And so then she's on a quest to try and figure out how to be a better person. And that's not sometimes the easiest to do. Yeah.
From kind of going from persona to persona and having this character is kind of being rewritten, I guess for the 3rd time to a degree, even though it's twice as the same person. Is that kind of the biggest benefit of being on the show, is being able to have such exciting new stuff to do every season, basically?
Well, I mean, for me, yes, great that I've been given Charlotte Richards to portray this year, because otherwise I'd be gone. I mean, Mom was a lot of fun. Charlotte, I think, will be less fun in many ways, because she's struggling, and whereas Mom, goddess of creation, could kind of just do what she wanted, and that type of thing. So there's more of a struggle for Charlotte. But the humor is still there in many ways. And in my second episode, I work a lot with Amy, and Ella is a very positive person, and so Charlotte kind of realizes that she could learn some things from her. And so I think a lot of the humor with Charlotte, especially in the beginning, is situational. And working off of people, as opposed to Charlotte being a funny character. you know.
We talked to Tom prior to you, and he has a lot of a fan base he built from small. Tom
Welling.
Welling.
Okay.
Tom
Yeah,
Welling,
completely
sorry.
went the other way.
Sorry. Yeah. I know him on first name basis. No, just kidding. But
We call him Tom and T-Dub, or T-Dub, I think.
So he has a lot of he's built a huge fan base through Smallville so many years. You've built similar to him. You've built a huge one through Battlestar Galactica. So have the fans carried over to Lucifer? Have they followed you over? And how does that feel to have such a sci-fi geeks? We just keep following you guys.
I'm sure not everyone has, but many have, and I was just at Comic-Con and I was at Dragon Con a couple weekends ago, and so a lot of fans were saying that they were watching Lucifer, that they had
Nice.
known me from Battlestar, that type of thing. It's great. I mean, it's wonderful. Sci-fi fans tend to be very loyal, and they're not going to watch it if they don't like it, but they will quite often check it out, and that's that's great. I mean, you certainly want, if you liked somebody in one show or liked that show, then why wouldn't you check out something else that they do? You don't have to stick around if you don't like it, right? But that's something that I have huge thanks for. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I enjoyed the role of Mother because she was so beautifully evil. So with the new character Charlotte, wouldn't it be kind of cool if there's a little residue of Mother still in there?
Yeah, and there may be. I don't know. I have no idea where it's going. To my knowledge, there isn't going to be. At least in the beginning or the long stretch of it. There's enough that she's kind of dealing with on her own right now that to add that in might send her into a nervous breakdown. But there is some with Lucifer, there's sort of a connection, and so maybe she is having sort of
That's all I got. Go ahead, guys.
Go ahead. Morning.
Hi.
Are you awake?
This hurts. I should be. Yeah.
Was that your badge?
Sitting. Yeah.
Are you guys shooting right now, aren't you?
What?
You're shooting right now, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Just a few stages over on 16.
So what do you see for this new season? And congratulations on the third season.
Thank you. Thank you. The new season, I think, season 2 leaves off with Chloe more or less thinking she's finally going to get more out of Lucifer. Maybe he'll reveal who he really is. He promises her that he'll share more with her. And then yet again, she's kind of let down by feeling that he trusts her, but not really, and lets her in, but not really. And so this season, we start off with Chloe really frustrated, feeling like he won't let her in, and she's like, you know what, fine. Who am I? Who is Chloe on her own? What am I without Lucifer? He helps so much. Lucifer brings to the table so much. His mojo, he can get the truth out of people. Chloe doesn't know that that's necessarily otherworldly powers, but she just thinks, wow, almost how you'd look at a psychic, like, wow, this guy's really great. So I think she's trying to go, okay, put all that aside. What kind of detective and what kind of person was I before he came along, and let me get back to those roots. So that's kind of where season 3 starts off. And I think we're kind of in that phase, and we have a love interest coming in for Chloe. And then in the end, I'm not really sure. They're being very mysterious. I'm not usually one to ask what's going to happen anyhow, but I've heard that there's going to be some big surprises at the end of season 3, which we haven't read yet, obviously.
You guys do a lot of on-location stuff in Los Angeles, and here I'm looking. This is a very impressive stage.
Yeah.
How does the schedule work for you, and what do you prefer? Do you prefer to be out in the open air, or do you like the stage environment?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
We are, I'd say, almost 50-50. We work on stage quite a bit. The Precinct is on stage. Lux is on stage. Lucifer's penthouse. Chloe's house. So a lot of that just means that we have to be inside anyhow. But now that we're back in LA, you know, season 1 and 2 were Vancouver, which is always raining, always gray. And so it almost forced us inside. So now that we're here, I think, you know, they spent all this money to move us. They want to show the people that we really are in LA and not just faking it. So we are out quite a bit. I mean, we did a horse ranch out past Magic Mountain. We've done deep Malibu, like County Line. We've done Santa Monica Pier again this year, Hollywood Hills. They're really trying to show that we're here because it was a very, you know, dark and rainy atmosphere in Vancouver, which didn't work for the exteriors, but was great for the mood of Lucifer, you know? So I think we're trying to keep that mood, but also show, you know, it's a story about a guy who's like, has everything and lives in LA and beautiful women. So we're trying to show that more this season. But, oh yeah, what do I like better?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I have a skin disorder that I was born with. Or no, I guess it kind of cropped up when I was like in my mid-20s, but it's called melasma. So when I go in the sun, if I get too much sun, it looks like there's dirt on my face. And it's fine, you know, if you wear hats and sunscreen. So that part of being outside isn't great because it's just, I have to use these special creams and it can be like a real pain in the ass, a nightmare. But when we're inside, we use all of this fake set smoke to make it look, you can't tell on TV, but it gives it just this veneer that's really pretty, but you're breathing that all day long. So, so it's like maybe I'll take the dirty face over the lung, the hacking, coal miner's lung. But yeah, I like both. You know, it's fun. Yeah.
So what have you seen then over the seasons and now with season 3, the development of your character? Have you seen a lot of growth? Do you have a lot of input into what the character is going to be like as you go into each season?
No, you know, I don't really, but I think partly that's my fault. With this character, I work so hard on this character. It's a really demanding role, because even on paper, I never really thought it would be. But, you know, I work a lot, and then I have procedural stuff, which for me is not easy to memorize. It's just anything that comes from the gut or the heart or the soul. I've just always been lucky. I can just look at it. If my heart connects to it, it's pretty much a no-brainer as far as the words go. It's there in my head. But with procedural dialogue, I just have the hardest time with it because, you know, it's just facts. There's no real emotional connection to it. But a lot of that is my job. So that I've tried to get better at. It's hard for me. I struggle with that. But I feel like I'm always studying and working so hard. I never get around to I know some of the actors who work a little less. They're in the writer's room, talking about what they want to do. I'm like, I wish I had the fucking time to do that, you know? But I do, you know, every once in a while I'll try to tweak a scene or whatever. But I just try and stay afloat with the dialogue and the workload, you know?
Last year, one of my kind of favorite burgeoning things was the friendship between Maze and your character. Could you talk a little bit about sort of that, how that, working with Leslie and doing all that, and then any other characters that you have had a lot of scenes with that you would like to...
Another character that I have not had?
Yes.
Yeah, working, you know, the Maze scenes are fun. I think the audience really likes seeing sort of how she's so primal. A lot of her beats are very primal. So mixed with Chloe, who's just so by the book and so just trying to do the right thing. And Maze has you know, a sex toy in one hand and a samurai sword in the other. It's just inherently it's funny stuff. So those scenes are always fun. And Maze is such a badass. I'm hoping that she, you know, she's been on maternity leave. She had a baby, what was it? Maybe two months ago. So she hasn't worked much this season at all, but we're hoping to get her back because the fans love her. She fucking kills it. She's great. And then who would I like to work more with? Question. You know, I rarely have scenes with Rachel Harris, Dr. Linda. Would mean, her little time is eaten up a lot with Lucifer, which makes sense. And then her and Mace have become really close friends. I don't know how much of that was in this end of season 2. I can't quite remember, but they're like best friends now.
Oh, you're doing great. Sorry.
So I was like, who the fuck is this massive giant just staring at me? Hey! And there's Tom Welling. Oh, was I supposed to answer that question with Tom Welling? But I work a lot with him now, so. They said, who would I like to work more with? Definitely not Tom Welling. Jesus.
I hear you.
You're like, it's mutual. Yeah, I just love working with Rachel. I mean, I think the hardest I've ever laughed ever since I've been doing this, since I was 20, was when we shot the pilot and it was Lucifer and I doing the Dr. Linda scene. And I mean, I like, you know when you laugh so hard, like you lose it? Like usually at parties, never at work, right? Or like whatever. But I was laughing so hard, I couldn't even look at her. And I just, on her coverage, which the camera isn't seeing me, I literally was like this. And I just said, I'm so sorry, I've never been so unprofessional. I'm just going to stare at the floor. I don't know what to do. You're too funny at it. I can't keep it up. So I would say Dr. Linda.
What can audiences expect to see with Chloe this season? What can you tell us about that?
I don't see much difference so far that I've shot. We're shooting episode 6. I think it's like heavy on the procedure thus far this season. You know, there's really nowhere to go yet with my character in terms of the otherworldly aspect. I'm one of the only human characters. I don't know if that's at some point going to change, right. But you know, it's like while the other characters are kind of off having that, like I have to stay here to keep it locked down and keep it grounded. So it's much of that. I mean, the big thing would be Chloe's never had a date. I guess Lucifer and Chloe kissed, well, in her dream on the couch that one time. In her dream. And then on the beach. So him, Tom Welling comes in as the Lieutenant Pierce, and from what I hear, we haven't seen those scripts or gone there yet, but we're just getting to know each other at work. She gets really nervous around him. She gets like flustered, which is cute because you never see Chloe like that. Like today we have a scene where he has his shirt off and I'm like walking through the precinct and I'm like totally lose my mind, like high school style, like and then yeah, I think they're gonna take us down that road, and so you'll see Chloe like probably have her first like, you know, love interest. Yeah, her steamy love moments for the first time.
And what are you doing when you have some downtime on set, like when you're just hanging out in between scenes?
I don't have downtime, but like what I do love about this, different from Vancouver, is we bike to, like from my trailer I biked here, and from my trailer I'll bike to where the precinct is on 16. And I swear to you, I get such joy, even though it's like a 2-minute ride. I fucking love being on that bike. It's just like a nice little, like gets the heart going, and I'm going around the stage like a wave. I've made friends on other stages, on other shows. That for me is great, you know, rather than just sitting indoors all day. But usually if I have any time, I have so much dialogue that, like, for instance, I'll just run either my scenes for the next day. Anytime I have downtime, I'm reading going over the next scene, or the next day, or like today, this morning, we start episode 7 Friday. So I was like looking at that stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then if I'm not doing that, I'm lots of times on Amazon Prime. I have a huge Amazon Prime addiction.
Lauren upstairs. Now we're going to bring Tom Welling down.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you.